Okay, thank y'all for being here. I know it's short notice, and speaking of short notice, I think both the House and the Senate are supposed to go in 2 minutes. So this is going to be hopefully pretty quick. We will take a couple of questions at the end, but probably not going to have a whole lot of time for that. We have an understanding on a number of things that will allow us to move forward with getting a budget detail. We'll get to some of the top line budget agreement. We'll get to some of the top line details in a second. What you know is that this is a starting point. There's still a lot that will need to be decided and discussed between the two chambers, but this agreement sets out a good framework for us to move forward. The talks that the Speaker and I have had have been extremely productive, and I'm hopeful that as we begin the full budget conference process, we'll be able to move quickly. So without belaboring it anymore, I'll turn it over to the Speaker.
And I'll echo what Senator Berger said. I think both of our chambers have reached largely an agreement on the big issues that now allow all of our members and our chairs to work towards some of the other things in the budget, and confident that we'll be able to get a comprehensive budget done relatively soon, but there's still a lot of work to do in terms of just the mechanics of the budget, but those chairs are starting to meet, I think, today. I'll start off with the salary package. This budget is really an unprecedented one for education in this state. The average teacher pay raise in our budget will be 8%. It will take starting teachers to number one in the South when you're including the local supplement, but also taking care of veteran teachers as well, and giving increases all across the salary schedule for teachers. As best we can tell, the largest average teacher pay increase at least since 2006, and one of the largest that we've seen in probably the last 30 years or so. So it's something we're very proud of. We want to continue to do all we can to fund education in this state, both public schools, as this budget does, also in the opportunity scholarships, and making sure that parents have the ability to send their child to the school that they think is best for them. As to the state employees, this budget includes 3% average raise, but there's greater raises for certain areas of state government where the need is more great. I know Senator Berger is going to talk about some of that, but there's also a bonus there for those state employees, for those making less than $65,000 a year, a bonus of $1,750, and for those making more than $65,000 a year, that bonus would be $1,000. And let me go back to the teachers. Also will have a bonus there for teachers over 16 years of $1,000, and those under that experience level of $500. So I'll turn it back over to Senator Berger to talk about some of the additional state employee salaries.
Yeah, so one of the focus points for our discussions has been making sure we provide law enforcement officers with meaningful raises. It's apt that this week is National Police Week because we're able to deliver for the men and women who put their lives on the line to protect us every day. The agreement includes a average, including steps, 20.3% raise for SBI and ALE officers. SBI civilian personnel will also receive a substantial raise. Also includes an average 17.7% raise with step increases for state highway patrol officers, and up to 11.5% for state highway patrol civilian personnel. Correctional officers, a part of the state employee group, will receive an average 15.4% salary increase with their step increases. Probation parole officers will receive an average 10.1% salary increase, including steps. There will be 13% raise for other LEOs across state government, including the state capitol police. There's also nearly $40.1 million will be included in the final budget to provide local law enforcement officers across the state with a one-time bonus of $1,750. States talking about taxes, the business climate. in our business environment has been created in large measure by our tax reduction strategies, and we intend to continue to see that going forward. When it comes to the tax package, we're repealing the personal income tax rate triggers for the near term and setting a new schedule. In tax years 27, 28, and 29, the tax rate will be 3.49%. In tax years 30, 31, and 32, the rate will be 3.24%. In 33 and 34, the rate will again drop to 2.99. We'll then reinstitute triggers for 2 additional step downs. Beyond that, that will take the rate from 2.99 to 2.74, and then ultimately to 2.49. As part of the tax package agreement, we've agreed that both chambers will pass a constitutional amendment for the November ballot that will lower the state's current tax cap to 3.5%. And we also will take up and pass the House's levy limit on property taxes. Both chambers want to deliver additional tax relief to the citizens of North Carolina, and other discussions will take place on other tax policy as we move forward with the budget process. With that, I'll turn it back over to Speaker Hall.
And I want to mention state retirees as well, who would get a 2.5 bonus in this budget. For a broad level, this budget is delivering record salary increases really across state government, both for teachers and, as you heard, for law enforcement officers. And so we're very proud of that, but we also continue to deliver tax relief for the citizens of this state. You've seen that for a decade and a half now since Republicans took control of the legislature. We've continued to reduce that rate and do it in a responsible way that allows us to continue to provide these kinds of raises. If you look at our competitor states, those around us, I just read yesterday Georgia reduced their income tax, and they've got a goal to get down to $3.99, which is where we are today. So we're already well ahead of them with this plan, ahead of our other competitors, and so proud of the framework that we've got in place. We think it sets the state up for continued success economically, and also making sure we're taking care of those hardworking state employees and keeping more money in the pockets of the workers of this state. So with that, I think we'll open it up for some questions.
Can you explain the changes on tax policy? So we're looking at no cuts until 2 years from now, and was the revenue forecast a factor into this, and especially for you, incidentally, or Berger changing?
No, the current rate's 3.99, so it'll go to 3.49 January 1, 2027. So there's a half-point cut that will take place January 1 of 2027, and that rate will remain in place for 3 consecutive years. Then there'll be another quarter-point cut after that, which will remain in place for 3 years, and then after that, another quarter-point cut that will remain in place for 2 years, and then a couple of triggers to take it down 2 more steps to ultimately 2.49.
So just setting it, not having a trigger for the next few years. And then what about the corporate income tax rate?
No changes to the step down of the corporate rate, which, as I recall, in 2030 will be 0.
What do you want to say anything about how you change some of your thinking on what the rate of the reductions would be? You know, not, I guess, not using triggers, but still having it go down, which it would have anyway with the triggers.
Our position all along has been that we've got an assurance that the rate would go to 3.49. We need to make sure that that promise to the taxpayers was kept, which this agreement does. In addition to that, it was important for us to provide some assurance that the rate would not bounce back up at some point, and that's the reason for the constitutional amendment.
Are the raises for teachers and state employees retroactive to the beginning of the fiscal year? Would they take effect upon enactment of the budget?
upon enactment, but the bonuses that I mentioned, those would also take place pretty soon thereafter the enactment of the budget. Carolyn, yes.
What went behind this agreement? Why did it happen now in this moment? And what kind of compromises were made that you felt like could reach this final agreement?
How much time do you have? I think that we both generally, when I say we, not only Phil and I, but our caucuses have the same general philosophy of wanting to make sure that we're paying people the right amounts in state government, but also continuing to deliver tax relief. And part of what we've seen under our current law with the triggers, being set in 2023. We saw inflation under Joe Biden. He had 13 months of his presidency left when we passed that. And so part of this was seeing what our revenues look like in this year. And so trying to make sure we're doing it the most responsible way possible. It's difficult to predict some of those revenues. And so we now have a better idea as we got into this spring. Now here we are in May. We think that we're probably about to get an upgrade in the predicted recurring revenues, probably just in a few days. And so the time was right. I think we had enough information to look at that policy and see how it needed to change to continue to really get towards the same goal of, like I said, continuing to cut those taxes, but doing it responsibly. And if you look back over the last 15 years, again, since Republicans took control, on average, that rate is cut, every 2 or 3 years, about a quarter point or so. And so basically what we're doing here is continuing what we've done for the last 15 years.
Is there any resolution on the NC Children's Hospital and NC Innovation?
So the understanding is that the 2023 money is being released, and an additional amount of the 2023 ARPA money is also being dedicated to the Children's Hospital. Total of $208 million going to the Children's Hospital. And an understanding that we'll continue to discuss whether or not any additional dollars go.
Final question.
Sure. What are the outstanding issues? I see tackle the big issues. What are the ones that you're still working through at this juncture?
Well, again, it'd take a long time to go through all those. It's these are I'll say the issues that we've talked about today were obviously major structural issues in the budget. And you've got to know what your tax package is going to be to estimate your revenues, salaries being the largest thing that we're spending money on. And so once those things are largely behind us, it's a matter of the appropriations chairs getting in to room together and work through all the line items of state government. And they'll be doing that for many days and frankly for weeks. It takes some time. When I talk about the mechanics of putting a budget together, they literally sit down and they go through each line of it, and they're able to resolve most of those things themselves. But as to the big issues that have been talked about quite a bit, I think you've heard most of those be resolved through our discussion today that we've told you about. There will be other things I'm sure that will come up along the way. Every entity of state government comes in and they've got requested changes that they want to make. And so it's, in some sense, not clear yet what all of those things that are still outstanding may be, but I'm confident that with these big issues largely behind us, the rest of that stuff we'll be able to deal with our chairs.
What's the total spend number?
To be determined. The appropriations chairs are getting together now to look at that. What we're looking at is somewhere in the ballpark of 7% over the course of the current fiscal year and the upcoming fiscal year, so approximately 3.5% per year when it's factored in.
Sorry, was NC Innovation resolved?
It was resolved to the extent that we will continue to discuss about how to resolve that.
Thank you all.
Yeah.